What's up, everyone? Welcome back and namaste. I'm, as always, Cam Williamson, and I'm here to help you through whatever life struggle is keeping you back from being your most authentic self, right? Today, we all go through phases in life, right? I'm gonna put the disclaimer in here right at the bottom, right out the gate. We, as long as we are alive, will not reach perfection. Leave that idea where you found it, right? That's not gonna happen. At no point during our human being experience will we be a perfect, peaceful at all times, unless you become a monk and go live in a monastery, and that's what your life is, right? If you choose to engage with the outside world as we know it, especially the Western world, you have to acknowledge the fact that you're going to have ups and downs in life, right? But we can overcome the downs, which is why you're here. You've been trying hard. You've been reading self-help books. You've been putting in the work that those books promote, right? That they are giving you these good ideas. There's a lot of practices that we find, morning routines, exercises, way of eating, that is all very, very good. But when we get into the trenches of life and we're not as motivated, or maybe it's been a minute since we did that practice and the mental cobwebs start to come back, right? What do we do then? What do we do in that moment? What is that's holding us back? Well, today I'm gonna tell you because I finally realized it for myself. First of all, I don't want to discredit anything that anyone has gone through in their life. That's not why I'm here. I'm not here to make light of or tell you to simply get over anything that's happened in your life, right? It's not what we're doing. But I am here to point out a very important, and I think you'll find pertinent to your life, thing that's holding you back. It's often called the victim mentality. I don't like that term because as soon as you call someone a victim, it puts them on the defensive. Most people don't like to think of themselves as a victim. So why, therefore, would we all constantly subscribe to a victim mentality at some level or the other, right? Well, let's look at it. From a young age, I was told a lot of things about my life. In specific, who different people were to me and who I was in relation to them, and then how that would make me seen by others. i.e., if my father was this way, well, first off, that puts something in my head that tells me that my father is not a good example. So right off the gate, I have the identity of father issues, right? Then I go through life and maybe some experiences are good and some are bad, so I'm kind of confused in that. So some things that people have said have been reassured, but some of them have not, and I'm young, so I'm not able to make my own decision based off life and an entire scope of things. So in videos that we've talked about previous, human negativity bias will always kick in. Usually the thing that keeps us up at night is the bad moments. We don't stay awake at night, unfortunately, thinking of the great moments that we've had in our life. I wish it were that way, but if you're here, I'm gonna go ahead and assume that you're not that way either. So when we lay our heads down at night, we don't necessarily lay our heads down at night going, oh, woe is me, I had a bad relationship, or a seemingly bad relationship from this point in my life to this point in my life. We don't do that. No one would do that because that would be too easy to pinpoint and call yourself out on. What happens is over time, this idea that, you're a victim kind of plays into your own psyche. And what happens is when I would get in trouble, or when I would underperform, or when I would act out of, appropriate ways to act, I would always notice that people's muffles in the background would be that of, oh, he doesn't get a lot of time on his dad, blah, blah, blah. And it just almost subconsciously taught me that if I underperformed, it was going to be okay because people would feel bad for me, and therefore they would kind of give me a learning curve of some sort. I didn't consciously make decisions based off of those things, but after a while, as life gets harder and harder, you start to resort back to these mentalities that, that are happening in your life. So if you constantly find yourself in this place where, like I did all through my life, where I'm going, why does the universe hate me so much? Why does the world hate me? What have I done? What have I done so wrong? And that gets into other things like manifesting and self-talk, and we're not going to get into that right now. But self-talk is important when it comes to the victim mentality. If you sit around thinking that the universe is against you, you have a victim mentality. If you sit around blaming your parents because of the way your life currently sits today, and you don't, you're of age and you shouldn't live with them anymore. If you do, that's your problem, not theirs. So anything that they're doing in your life is still your problem, because you shouldn't be living with them if you're of age. You should be out living your life, creating your own journey. You can't sit around and blame the things that have happened to you for why you're not succeeding. Now again, I give people the credit. I don't think we sit around consciously and do this. However, if you have that thing in life that you know you do that you shouldn't, or you have a habit that maybe you've wanted to break or take a break from and you just haven't, and you find that it's extremely difficult. We find this with addiction, we find this with a lot of different things. Most of our issues come back to the victim mentality, as conscious or subconscious as it is in our lives, leads us to a place of feeling vulnerable. And when we feel vulnerable, we are more likely to act on impulse, or we have trouble showing impulse control. So therefore, when we start this victim mentality, the fight or flight is against us, because that's how we've now chemically engineered ourselves to operate through life. Again, subconsciously. There's no blame or judgment in any of this. This is the way most of us work. That's why we're here. That's why we're in this community. So we have fear, which leads to things like abandonment and all this types of negative energy, right? And then you have the outcomes that you see in life, that if you had an absentee father, or if maybe you came from a lower income place, or whatever your story is, you'll find that people start to put you in these kind of pity boxes. Oh, this is sad, this person's that, and this is that. Well, that works sometimes, and it might get you a welfare check, and it might get you this, and it might get you that. But what it also gets you is a life inside of a box, because it primes you to believe that that is you and you will always be that, instead of opening your eyes to the fact that the people that are living a life that is your definition of success, life doesn't like them better. The universe doesn't like them better. Things didn't happen to you because you were damned by life from the start. I know it can absolutely feel that way. And I'm not saying that a simple opening your eyes tomorrow morning and wishing that everything bad that happened to you hadn't is going to ever take place, because again, that won't. But coming to a place of anything bad that has happened to me, or that I deem as bad, that has happened in my life previous to this moment, I'm choosing to not allow myself to make or take any action going further based off that, now that I've self-realized that it's been an issue for me. If I feel bad for myself, for this instance that keeps coming back in my head, I am no longer going to take actions around that thought. That is at least going to help me slow down to where I can start to show some impulse control, and therefore get the reins of my life back. If I have the reins of my life back, now I can start to manage it again. Guys, I love you so much. If you took anything from this video or any other video that you've seen, and maybe you've just landed on this one and made it all the way through, hit the like button, subscribe, share it with your people. I love you. Blessings. Namaste.